Life Audio.
The Bible Study Podcast, episode 903. Today, the Bible Study Podcast continues the study of the intertestamental period and the book of 1 Maccabees with chapter 12. Welcome to the Bible Study Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Christensen. We're going to continue on with alliances with Rome and Sparta, but first a word from this sponsor. 1 Maccabees 12 starts this way: alliances with Rome and Sparta. Now when Jonathan saw that the time was favorable for him, he chose men and sent them to Rome to confirm and renew the friendship with them. He also sent letters to the same effect to the Spartans and to other places. So they went to Rome and entered the Senate chamber and said, "The high priest Jonathan and the Jewish nation have sent us to renew the former friendship and alliance with them." And the Romans gave them letters to the people in every place, asking them to provide for the envoys safe conduct to the land of Judah. This is a copy of the letter that Jonathan wrote to the Spartans. The high priest Jonathan, the council of the nation, the priests, and all the rest of the Jewish people, to their brothers the Spartans, greetings. Already in time past, a letter was sent to the high priest Onias from Arius, who was king among you, stating that you are our brothers, as the appended copy shows. Onias welcomed the envoy with honor and received the letter, which contained a clear declaration of alliance and friendship. Therefore, though we have no need of these things, since we have as encouragement the holy books that are in our hands, we have undertaken to send to renew our family ties and friendship with you, so that we may not become estranged from you, for considerable time has passed since you sent your letters to us. We therefore remember you constantly on every occasion, both at our festivals and on other appropriate days, as the sacrifices that we offer, and in our prayers, as it is right and proper to remember brothers. And we rejoice in your glory. But as for ourselves, many trials and many wars have encircled us. The kings around us have waged war against us. We are unwilling to trouble you and our other allies and friends with these wars, for we have the help that comes from heaven for our aid. So we were delivered from our enemies, and our enemies were humbled. We therefore have chosen Numenius, son of Antiochus, and Antipater, son of Jason, and have sent them to Rome to renew our former friendship and alliance with them. We have commanded them to go also to you and greet you, and to deliver to you this letter from us concerning the renewal of our family ties. And now please send us a reply to this. This is the copy of the letter that they sent to Onias, King Arius of the Spartans, to the high priest Onias, greetings. It has been found in writing concerning the Spartans and the Jews that they are brothers and are of the family of Abraham. And now that we have learned this, please write us concerning your welfare. We, on our part, write to you that your livestock and your property belong to us, and ours belong to you. We therefore command that our envoys report to you accordingly. And so it has been a while since we've had these letters with Rome and Sparta, forming an alliance with them. We have not called on the Romans or the Spartans because we needed them, is what Jonathan is saying. He's saying, we have this alliance with you. You were obligated to help us, but we didn't want to trouble you because we have other sources of strength, that is God in heaven. And because of that, we've been able to defeat our enemies, but we think it would be a good idea for us to still be friends. Don't you agree? And this is the longer form of that, but basically it's, we are still friends with you. Are you still friends with us? And it continues on. Now, Jonathan heard that the commanders of Demetrius had returned with a larger force than before to wage war against him. So he marched away from Jerusalem and met them in the region of Hamath, for he gave them no opportunity to invade his own country. He sent spies to their camp, and they returned and reported to him that the enemy were being drawn up in formation to attack the Jews by night. So when the sun had set, Jonathan commanded his troops to be alert and keep their arms at hand so as to be ready all night for battle, and he stationed outposts around the camp. When the enemy heard that Jonathan and his troops were prepared for battle, they were afraid and were terrified at heart. So they kindled their fires in their camp and withdrew. But Jonathan and his troops did not know it until morning, for they saw the fires burning. Then Jonathan pursued them, but he did not overtake them, for they had crossed the Eleutherus River. So Jonathan turned aside against the Arabs who were called the Zabadeans, and he crushed them and plundered them. Then he broke camp and went to Damascus and marched through all that region. So Demetrius, who has had this off-again, on-again relationship with Jonathan, has sent another army, and they're going to attack by night. But Jonathan and his troops hear about it, and so they're ready for them. And the troops lose heart because, remember, they've been beaten a few different times by the people of Judah. And so they leave their campfires lit as if they were still in camp, and they slip out the back and they get away from Jonathan. So he goes off and does some trouble with the Zabadeans and also goes up to Damascus and marches around that region. That would be in what is now Syria. Simon also went out and marched through the country as far as Ascalon and the neighboring strongholds. He turned aside to Joppa and took it by surprise, for he had heard they were ready to hand over the stronghold to those whom Demetrius had sent, and he stationed a garrison there to guard it. When Jonathan returned, he convened the elders of the people and planned with them to build strongholds in Judea, to build the walls of Jerusalem still higher, and to erect a high barrier between the citadel and the city to separate it from the city, in order to isolate it so that its garrison could neither buy nor sell. So they gathered together to rebuild the city. Part of the wall on the valley to the east had fallen, and he repaired the section called Chephanatha. Simon also built Adidah in Shephelah. He fortified it and installed gates with bolts. So they're getting ready for other fights. They're still got that citadel in Jerusalem, so they're basically putting a wall in between them, and they're going to besiege that citadel so that the people there can't buy or sell, so they have to leave. And they rebuild the walls, get ready for other trouble, because it looks like trouble is coming. And in fact, trouble does come. We're going to finish out this chapter today. Trypho captures Jonathan. Then Trypho attempted to become king in Asia and put on the crown to raise his hand against King Antiochus. He feared that Jonathan might not permit him to do so, but might make war on him. So he kept seeking to seize and kill him, and he marched out and came to Beth-shan. Jonathan went out to meet him with 40,000 picked warriors, and he came to Beth-shan. When Trypho saw that he had come with a large army, he was afraid to raise his hand against him. So he received him with honor and commended him to all his friends, and he gave him gifts and commanded his friends and his troops to obey him as they would himself. Then he said to Jonathan, "Why have you put all these people to so much trouble when we are not at war? Dismiss them now to their homes and choose for yourself a few men to stay with you and come with me to Ptolemais. I will hand it over to you, as well as the other strongholds and the remaining troops and all the officials, and will turn around and go home, for that is why I am here." Jonathan trusted him and did as he said. He sent away the troops, and they returned to the land of Judah. He kept with himself 3,000 men, 2,000 of whom he left in Galilee, while 1,000 accompanied him. But when Jonathan entered Ptolemais, the people of Ptolemais closed the gates and seized him, and they killed with the sword all who had entered with him. Then Trypho sent troops and cavalry into Galilee and the great plain to destroy all Jonathan's soldiers. But they realized that Jonathan had been seized and had perished along with his men, and they encouraged one another and kept marching in close formation, ready for battle. When their pursuers saw they would fight for their lives, they turned back. So they all reached the land of Judah safely, and they mourned for Jonathan and his companions and were in great fear. And all Israel mourned deeply. All the nations around them tried to destroy them, for they said, "They have no leader or helper. Now, therefore, let us make war on them and blot out the memory of them from humankind." And so we are gone through one more of the leaders of this family, the Maccabees. Here, Jonathan has died, but has led things well. Now, you may remember that he was not the first leader, nor the second or the third, and each time one of the other brothers rises up to leadership. And that will happen again. This isn't the end of the story, but we're going to do that next week. And with that, we're going to end this episode of the Bible Study Podcast. If you have any questions, send an email to chris2x@gmail.com, or better yet, leave a comment on this episode at thebiblestudypodcast.com. And thanks so much for listening. I want to take just a second to thank the team at Life Audio for their partnership with us on this podcast. If you go to lifeaudio.com, you'll find dozens of other faith-centered podcasts in their network. They've got shows about prayer, Bible study, parenting, and more.
Are you concerned about tensions in the Middle East? Do you wonder where we're currently at in the biblical timeline? Are we really in the last days? Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Carl Muller with the Inside the Epicenter podcast. Every week, my co-host, best-selling author Joel Rosenberg and I answer those questions and more. You'll hear inside knowledge of our meetings with leaders at the highest levels of government in the U.S., Israel, and the Middle East, equipping you to filter the news with biblically sound insights. Find Inside the Epicenter on your favorite podcast app or go to joshuafund.com to listen and subscribe.